All right, welcome. You know that feeling when you start a project, you look at a room or a garden and you just freeze? Not sure where to even begin? Well, today we're going to demystify one of the most fundamental skills out there. How to measure? Well, pretty much anything.
So, imagine this. You're planning a project. Could be anything. New flooring, a garden bed, painting a wall. The very first thing you've got to do is measure your space. But where do you even start? It sounds so basic, right? But getting this first step right is absolutely everything.
Okay, to answer that, we really need to get our heads around two fundamental ideas, perimeter and area. Now, they sound kind of similar, I know, but trust me, they answer two totally different and equally crucial questions about any flat shape.
And you know what? The difference between them is actually beautifully simple. Perimeter is just the distance around something. Think of it like walking the edge or figuring out how much fence you need. And then you've got area, which is all the space inside that boundary. That's the part you'd have to cover with paint or, mow if it's a lawn.
This image here just nails it. The perimeter is the length of the fence. The area is the size of the lawn inside. So one is a line, right? A distance. The other is a surface, a whole space. Totally different things.
Okay, so let's make this real. We'll start with the shapes you see literally everywhere. I'm talking about rectangles and squares. I mean, just look around you right now. Your screen, the door, a window, they're all rectangles. It's the most common shape we deal with. And the great news is, the math for these is super straightforward. For a rectangle's perimeter, you just add up the length of all the sides. Simple. For its area, you just multiply the length by the breadth or width. And a square, even easier, because all the sides are the same.
Let's look at an example to see how this works. Say you've got a square, and you know the perimeter. The distance all the way around is 28 centimeters. Okay, so a square has 4 equal sides. You just divide 28 by 4, which gives you 7 centimeters for each side. Easy. Now, what's the area? Well, that's just side times side. So 7 times 7, boom, 49 square centimeters.
So the crucial point is, for any four-sided box, the formulas are simple. But what about more complex shapes? The weird ones with angles and stuff. How in the world do you measure those? Well, this is where it gets really cool, because it turns out there's a secret key that unlocks pretty much everything else. And that key is the all-important triangle. Yeah, the humble triangle. It might seem like just a basic shape, but it's actually the hidden building block of almost every other shape. Seriously, if you can get your head around triangles, you're going to be able to measure almost anything.
So the area of a triangle, the formula is 1/2 times base times height. Okay, simple enough to remember, but why? Why is it half? Why does that formula work? The reason is actually, well, it's pretty brilliant.
Check this out. A right-angled triangle is literally just half of a rectangle. I mean, look, take a rectangle, slice it right down the diagonal, and what do you get? 2 identical triangles. So it just makes sense that the area of one of those triangles has to be exactly half the area of the whole rectangle. It's so simple when you see it, right? Just elegant.
But wait, you might be thinking, what about triangles that aren't perfect right-angled ones? Well, even for those, we have these really powerful tools like Heron's formula, which you see here. It lets us find the area if we know the lengths of the sides without even needing to know the height. It's pretty amazing.
And this right here is the breakthrough. This is the big takeaway. Once you understand triangles, you can pretty much understand any shape. Because those really complex shapes, they're almost always just a bunch of simple shapes stuck together. For instance, look at a parallelogram. It looks kind of weird and slanted, right? It might seem tricky to measure, but watch what happens when you draw a diagonal line across it. Bam! It's just 2 triangles stuck together. So all you have to do is find the area of one of those triangles, double it, and you've got the area of the whole thing. Done. All right, so now that we have our building blocks, rectangles and triangles, let's put this new knowledge to work. Let's look at some real-world situations where this stuff actually comes in handy. Okay, here's a classic one. You're going to tile a room, maybe the kitchen or the bathroom. What's the first problem you have to solve? You need to figure out how many tiles to buy, which means you're solving an area problem. You need to know the size of the whole surface you're going to cover. So you calculate the total area of the floor. Then you find the area of one single tile. You just divide the big number, the floor area, by the small number, the tile area, and that gives you the exact number of tiles you need. No guessing, no running back to the store halfway through, and in this case, the answer is 450 tiles.
Okay, what about something a little trickier? Imagine you want to build a path around a rectangular garden. Now, measuring that shape directly seems kind of complicated, right? But there's a really clever trick to this.
Here's what you do. Instead of trying to measure the path itself, you just calculate two simple rectangles. First, you get the area of the big rectangle. That's the field plus the path altogether. Then you find the area of the smaller rectangle inside, just the field. And then you just subtract the small area from the big one. And whatever's left over, that's the area of your path. So smart!
So you see, from fences to floors, this isn't just boring math class stuff. Geometry is the powerful language we use to literally design and build the world around us. These are real, practical tools for everyday life.
So now you have the tools. What are you going to measure first? Hopefully this has made you look at the world just a little bit differently. Go out there and start measuring.